On this 123rd day of 66 and 26, we're starting a new book today in the Old Testament book of Ezekiel. Now, I'll warn you from the very beginning, not to intimidate you, but Ezekiel is easily one of the most difficult, strangest books of the Bible, ranking right up there with the book of Revelation. It's difficult, so it's going to take some interpretation along the way. First, a little context for the book itself. If you remember some of the historical context of the story of the nation of Israel, Israel had divided into two kingdoms, north and south, Israel and Judah. In 722 BC, the northern kingdom was destroyed by the Assyrians, the Israelites taken off into captivity. In 586 BC, the southern kingdom was destroyed by the Babylonians and people taken off into exile to Babylon. Before the fall of Judah and the city of Jerusalem, there was actually an exile previous to the full exile in 586 BC. About 11 years earlier, in 597 BC, many people, 10,000 or so people from Judah and Jerusalem, were taken off in exile to Babylon, and Ezekiel was one of those exiles. So he began his ministry of prophecy to the people of Judah in exile about 5 years into that exile. So about 593 BC, before the fall of Jerusalem. And much of Ezekiel's prophecy will bridge over that period where the kingdom of Judah was destroyed and the city of Jerusalem was leveled, the temple burned and destroyed, and will carry on then for the people who are in exile to the Babylonians. Now, let me explain a little bit of what's going on, especially in the first chapter that we're reading today. We're in Ezekiel 1-3, but this first chapter is especially challenging. What we have to remember is that Ezekiel speaks in apocalyptic language. That means that there's a lot of symbolism in the words. So when Ezekiel describes something he's seen, he's not necessarily seeing an exact creature that has 4 faces on it, but he's describing the attributes of God or the people of God or the creation, and he's describing that in a way that is in language human beings can understand, even though it's a scene that no one can truly comprehend this side of eternity. And so Ezekiel is using very symbolic language. And I'll give you a few examples here. First of all, 4 living creatures. And these 4 living creatures are quite large and majestic. And as they move and their wings move, then they sound like the roar of an army or the rushing of mighty waters, the sound of the Lord Almighty himself. So there's a great rumble as these creatures move, which means they're immense and they're majestic. They're in the glory of God. And then they're described as having 4 faces. 1 face of a man, 1 face of a lion, 1 face of an oxen, and 1 face of an eagle. And what does this mean? Well, this is also symbolic, and it actually represents the 4 different parts of God's creation, that is mankind and the ordained rule over all of creation and human beings. So that's the face of the man, and the face of the lion, that's the strongest, at least seen as the strongest of all of the wild animals of creation. And the ox would be the strongest of all the domesticated animals of creation. And the eagle seen as the highest, most powerful of all the birds of the air. And so there's a representation of the different parts of God's creation in those creatures. And they really are the mediators between God and humanity. Another thing that you see is in this vision for Ezekiel is two wheels, two intersecting wheels. And you might understand these as two intersecting wheels perpendicular to each other. So they're moving in this way and they're moving in this way. And the idea of this is that it's symbolic of the fact that God and his presence goes out everywhere. So all four directions. It can move this way, it can move forward, backward, side to side, up, down. It can move in every direction. And so that wheel, the two wheels intersecting together, represents that full motion of God's glory and his presence going out throughout all the earth. And then there are eyes, eyes all over the wheels, which represent God's omniscience, his all-seeing, all-knowing nature as well. So God is all-present, he's all-knowing, he's all-seeing. And so all these different symbols that we see throughout Ezekiel's prophecy, we're going to continue to see in the weeks to come. It'll be a bit confusing. Hang in there. One suggestion I would have is that you invest in a good study Bible. I highly recommend the NIV study Bible. That has a lot of great notes in it to break down some of these strange expressions that we'll see in Ezekiel and help even beyond what I'm able to share in a short video for you. So as we begin Ezekiel, God bless you as we explore the very interesting nature of God's apocalyptic literature in the Old Testament.